tried to download
I'm
it.
on Monterey, which I think Monterey, not Monterey, Monterey.
Monterey Jack.
Monterey Jack.
Oh,
he beat
I
me
got
to
there
it.
quicker.
It's all good. It's
So
all
you
good.
were.
Oh man! And to think, Donald Trump almost got fucking assassinated like an hour
And
ago.
fucking
Really?
Richard Simmons.
Yeah, and Richard Simmons died.
So Richard Simmons got assassinated?
That means we have to get the robotic Richard.
Oh my god, how much have I missed today? I was at Walmart.
yeah, that's nuts.
Oh. Hi, boys.
Hello.
What's
We're
going
just
on?
chilling. We're just chilling. Thank you for tuning in to another episode here on Bandecfolks. I'm chilling here with my host, Ty. I'm Phil. And I've got Chris McKirdy, who has been in all forms of media of this channel.
I know.
You were on the audio only podcast when we were just doing that. You were on the video when we were in person. You were in our Halloween special, and now you finally are...
Oh, the best part of the Halloween special was your bit.
It's Chris.
Give him the red coat.
Seriously, I came all the way out here just to fucking dress up like fucking Macho Man on steroids. I don't even know what this is. And I did this for you guys.
I thought you were the Rocky Horror Picture guy.
You guys, seriously.
I didn't think you'd be so upset.
I really liked that bit. It turned out so good.
Yeah, I
Bit.
I think it turned out great too because you really sold it. I think you really sold it. You were like out of a lot of people we asked to come, and like you really put like you got your acting chops on. So
Thanks, man. I had a great time. It was fun. It's always
freaking out
fun.
on us. That was awesome.
For the spookies, here
So
for it.
let's address the elephant in the room. We're starting a band. No, I'm
Yeah.
I
Let's do it, bud. Under oath.
no.
I apologize for anyone that's like, because prior to this, no knowledge. I like just got off work, got home, showered, did all the things. So I'm kind of still like not with it, but I'm here. We're good.
That's right.
Oh,
We're good.
man.
A man of the people.
Yeah, oh yeah, look at that. That's a good way to dry your hair. I like that. Putting like as soon as you get out of the shower, just throw it in a toque or a hat. Like it's the way your hat or hair sits. It's just I like it a lot more.
Just absorbs it. You can savor it. For
Anyway,
later.
the elephant in the room being that, of course, that you were with Redcoat, and Redcoat had just released a brand new record, Lush. This is exciting. Are you as excited as I am?
Man, I'm
I
so
can tell.
fucking pumped. I'm relieved that it's just out. Like it's been a long time.
And we'll get into that. Trust me, I've got all this ready for you. But actually, I'm gonna just start at the top here. I got a whole list of questions I'm gonna get at you because you've been on the show so many times. I feel like this was really easy to tailor some questions because not only am I, you and I are good friends. I'm a fan of your band. I think I've been able to pull out some questions that I haven't been able to ask you previously. So yeah, let's get into it. Actually, I was just starting to talk with Tyler at the beginning of this before you jumped in, and the first thing I want to get into is how do you conclude or end up with your song titles? Just as a lyricist, is this something that you pull out of a song afterwards? Is it an afterthought? Because typically, actually, I notice with a lot of Redcoat songs, it's just like one word or something.
Yeah.
Is that intentional? What is the creative process about where the titles come from?
No, that's a good question. Like historically, back in the day, like when we were doing, the old 2003, 2004 stuff, it was always like, my car's on fire, parentheses, nothing tastes better than a gas station burrito or something. Like it was always like these long-winded song titles, and I always felt like it kind of got a little contrived. And with that also being said, now like I feel like a lot of bands are starting to do like the one words kind of band titles, song titles, or so it's I think I've just kind of been a bit more minimalist like as the years have gone on. It's just something to put out. But then actually, like, writing the songs, like you're talking about coming up with the titles themselves, a lot of it's afterthought. A lot of it is, I'll have like a word that I came across, and then I just like will write it down in a note. It's like, oh, I like that. That's a cool word. Sonder is a great example. Like it's one of my favorite ones on the album. Like, it basically is the realization that like other people like have their own like life and internal dialogue, and like it's not like nobody's an NPC kind of a thing. So it's sort of coming to that realization that like you're not alone, but also it makes you kind of feel more alone, that like everybody else has like their own internal shit going on like at any given time. So yeah,
that's an overwhelming thought when you put it that way, that everyone's got the shit going on.
Right.
But like it is what it is. And actually I like to do that with some of my music too. It's like the song title is like a word, and if you look into the description of the word, you will probably explore the song just a little bit more. So like that's something I also like to do in my writing styles. Some stuff with like Hellbent, I just come up with goofy titles just because like that's just kind of like the band that we're able to do like that with, but like especially with like Sinner.
And that'd be fun too, like to come up with that. Short Lives was kind of like that. I mean, it was more movie titles, which also Redcoat historically has been movie titles sometimes, like John Cusack movies.
Right. Is it John Cusack because like you're a big fan of him, or is it just because you look like a young John Cusack?
Both, kind of a combination. I just look like if John Cusack hated himself.
Having released like close to like 60 songs on Spotify and streaming stuff like that, I can only imagine that there's a handful more behind the scenes. What goes into writing a new Redcoat song? Like, are there tropes you lean on? Are there techniques and tricks you throw in after the skeleton's written? Is there stuff that you like to avoid since you've got so many other things in the pocket?
Well, the avoiding part is like I try to not be the be all end all anymore, which was kind of always like the way I wanted it to be. I didn't want it to be just me writing everything. Historically it was just me picking up a guitar and coming up with a riff, and then from that riff sort of building around it, and literally stream of consciousness, like just start singing and like whatever comes out of it. So got a lot of unhinged voice memos on my phone of just sort of that kind of stuff. So there's some good ones, there's some really bad ones, but like a lot of, aside from Little Death, which was kind of one of those just like 10-minute fucking don't know where it came from, but it came from somewhere kind of a situation. But most of the riffs and the primary skeletons of the song this time around were Corey and I at the old space, just fucking around, and
the old space, like the old school that like you guys aren't there anymore.
No, unfortunately, it's a long story. I don't want to get into the drama of it. The parties that know, and it is what it is. It's some of the best and some worst experiences of my entire musical career have been associated with that place, and it's a part of my being at the end of the day.
So when you're writing then, you said Little Death came about quickly. That's actually one of my favorites on the record you just put out. I really like that song. Do you do a lot of revision? Like, how long would you say it takes to like write a song on average?
This one was 3 years, right? Like we had the instrumentals like kind of, and even that would have been like 2.5 years prior to recording it. So this is in total about a 5-year thing, which is scary to think about.
Did you guys have it? Did you guys have it demoed out at all, or did you just keep like jamming it and remembering it?
There is a version of Little Death that's, as an example, that the bridge part, like the ending, was slightly different. But I'm a bit of a, and this is like, self-flating, whatever. I'm a bit of a perfectionist when it comes to stuff. So generally when I have like an idea, it's like, that's the idea, willing to tweak here and there. But I find that this whole album was a really good example, especially lyrically and vocally. I mean, when Phil started the podcast, I think I had sent, like, Bleed Me Out was initially like part of this whole stretch of songs, and that was forever ago at this point, right? But like, yeah, like when you get too much in your head, you just like it sort of loses its magic a little bit. And I had some experiences and situations that had happened post recording. My brain just shut off. Recording the instrumentals, that I was able to just sort of like reinvigorate that kind of like creative like chaos with it, and just sort of stream in consciousness a lot of the vocals and lyrics this time around, which was, I mean, awful but great at the same time.
Is Bleed Me Out the oldest song on this record then? Like chronologically?
Bleed Me Out, then All Good.
Okay.
Yeah, Bleed Me Out, All Good, and then I would say like Lush. Pretty much like song for song, that was sort of the arc of how they were written, for the most part.
Okay,
yeah.
so what would be the newest one on there then? Is it
Sour?
Okay.
And then Little Death.
Okay, interesting.
Yeah.
I think, yeah. Sorry, I won't go into that. Tell me a bit more. The
Oh, we could spill tea. I don't mind.
I got some tea ready for us to spill in a little bit, so I didn't want to jump the gun. But actually, I really wanted to ask you about the album art. Is that an actual photo that someone took, or?
No, this is the. I mean, not to say, like, I know the Girl EP was like a Klimt painting. A lot of the stuff that. Well, yeah, this one was. Everything that's been out has been me, right? Like primarily like just piecing together stuff. So I had this kind of tongue in cheek. A lot of this record was very Silverchair inspired. No shit. So I really wanted to kind of like give that also secondary homage, like visually. So I mean, Neon Ballroom is one of my favorite records by them. Even though a lot of what we were listening to was more freak show era kind of stuff. So I liked the neon kind of aspect to it. And I'd been toying around with that image, or the idea of the image, for like the last 7 years. Like, it's something that I always, I liked it. And it, ironically enough, that Alexis on Fire, Familiar Drugs thing came out. I was like, fuck, man, like, it's already been done now.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah. So, but no, it was. I found an image of like a motel sign, and then I kind of like was able to recreate like a neon, like make it look semi-realistic, and then kind of had like mishmashed a few other things so that it was its own thing. Yeah.
Would you say you have a favorite song on this new record?
It goes day to day, I find. Like, I think like Lush, just for its sort of initial like prompt of the record finally being out, and also just the writing process. That was one of the songs that Corey and I like really got stoked on like early. For Pride's sake, like also Little Death, like that ending is I love it. It's amazing.
Yeah, that's super cool.
So
I love that you were talking about Silverchair, dude. They were like fucking teenagers when they wrote those records, man. It's crazy.
I know. It's fun. To put it into perspective, like all of them, I think, are like 45. Like, they're 10 years older than us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, that's fucked up.
And as far
it was like 1995 or whatever that like Frog Stomp.
As far as like old like beloved grunge bands go too, they're a heavily slept on band.
Yeah, I mean they're post grunge, right? Like they're a lot of what came out of the post Nirvana era is, for better or for worse, like some you wouldn't have Creed, you wouldn't have, but like Silverchair and or like other bands that were kind of like around but rediscovered, like a Fugazi or um, Quicksand, like things like that that were sort of like had elements of what grunge became popular for that had predated it or came out around the same time. But it's cool to see a lot of like what like they won like a radio contest or like a
Oh, I
TV
didn't
show,
I
like
didn't know
something
that.
crazy. Yeah, like they submitted like a tape with Tomorrow on it, and they're like, "Oh well, it's bad, yeah. He's blokes."
Are they Australian? They're not British, are they?
Yeah. Yeah, they're
Yeah.
Australian.
Yeah, I do. I often do a Daniel Jones impersonation because it's just fun. People like to compare me to Jesus Christ, and I just think that's true.
So was there anything so I guess you've already kind of described yourself, like something that you did intentionally different on this record was like, I don't know, if you listen to like Zodiac, there's like a lot of like chuggier riffs going on there, and there's this like a little bit more like, it's like a little less bright, if that makes sense. I found that like Lush was like a little bit more like it has just like a grand feeling to it.
Yeah, like it was more. I wanted it to be more cohesive because I mean, like Zodiac specifically, it's kind of all over the place. You've got Paisley, which is more like Oasis, Car Jam kind of stuff, and then Wet Leather, and so it was sort of like a more eclectic full album because I think there's like 12 songs, 11 songs on that. This one, it was just sort of like keep it short and sweet to a point, like 8 songs, and mostly just in that pocket of shit that we loved from that era of it. A lot of it, like I feel like now it's hard to really define like a genre piece or because so many bands are doing different stuff, and there's really no one thing that you can place as a rock band or a metal band or a hardcore band because everything's just all over. I mean, like truth be told, like Sour as an example, we were kind of fucking around with like writing like a Turnstile type song. Like that's kind of where that sort of riff came from, and just me singing on it. So I'm not doing that, that style of vocals. So
Sour is probably one of my favorite tracks on the record.
Same, yeah.
You can tell that you're upset about something, and I think this is a good segue. What took this record so long to drop? I mean, because we heard, like you mentioned already, Bleed Me Out in like 2001 or 2021.
Yeah,
2001. It's an old song.
2001.
It's 20
It's
years
old.
old.
It's really old. Predates everything. I mean, without going into like the nitty gritty of it, I mean, like I try to be fair and not throw people under the bus when it comes to shit. I mean, for those of you who know, they know, and it is what it is. I mean, like people go on to greener pastures. We started writing the record 4 years ago, piecing it together, finding the songs that we like. There's still maybe 3 or 4 finished and unfinished ideas that are floating out that we're trying to get out into the open eventually, like sort of for a later date. But yeah, a lot of things happen. Just Redcoat's always been like this band of just circumstance, for better or for worse. Like we've gone through hell and back, like with a lot of things. Me personally, it's been a lot of lineup changes and a lot of scenarios that passed us by in a way that I don't know how to say it without like I'm like it's just weird, like some of the stuff that's happened to us. And I do believe in like I don't know, like the spiritual angle
Of course.
you know, what's meant to be is meant to be, and we're still here. And for everyone that's been for us or against us, like it's been a good thing, you know. Like I think the thing that sucked is that we had a lot of momentum starting to ride like post pandemic. We welcomed you know, a third member of the band, and everything was going great, and then just kind of like on a dime, just stuff sort of went sour. And yeah, you know, we lost a practice space out of it. I lost a friend out of it. And also by proxy, I lost a relationship out of it, I feel like. And that's just me sort of self-loathing. And I know that's probably not the case, but you know, it's hard not to blame yourself for a lot of stuff that kind of comes out of that kind of thing. So yeah, like and it sucks, you know. Like, I don't think I'm a bad person. I don't think that, like, at the core of everybody's a good person at the end of the day. Like, at their very, 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 very core, just shit builds, and you start to lose like the center of that person, and just bad things happen, which makes people by proxy like probably not great people. And I'm not speaking about that, you know, recent incident of what had happened. I'm just seeing just in general. Yeah.
I mean, it is what it is. And like you mentioned earlier, I mean, like sometimes, you know, Tyler and I have gone through like so many stages of life together. Like him and I rode the yellow bus together. Like, you know what I mean? Like
that's true.
Him and I go way back. So like, yeah, I understand going through like the fiery hoops of a relationship, because there's definitely been times Tyler and I have lost touch with each other. We've gone in different directions in our lives, and I think I can speak for the both of us. It's kind of full circle now that we're both sitting here doing a podcast together, because our friendship has always been born out of music, and how we ended up here is kind of miraculous. But enough of us.
Oh, exactly. Growth is important, you know.
Absolutely.
In any friendship, any relationship, people lose touch with their family. People lose touch with. So it's the circle of life. Circle of life.
If I didn't have a sleeping baby next to in like 3 rooms, I'd be yelling it just as well.
So I guess on a little bit of a lighter topic, did you guys self-produce this?
Yeah.
Like, is it?
We recorded it at.
Go ahead. Where did you record it? I'd like to know that too.
Well, we did the instrument. We did a majority of the instrumentals at Schoolhouse.
Oh, shut up!
Is it still
Schoolhouse,
around?
like
Plus,
like Nick
Studios?
Oh,
yeah. Just because I saw the Instagram like image, like the header was just not. It was like looked like a deleted user header. The page is still there.
Actually, great question. Nick has moved, like, so that Nick Schoolhouse has always been Nick's company, and then like Davis always worked for it. Davis is still working out of there with Andy, and they have actually adopted that place. Nick is no longer doing so much. Like, he does a handful of like bands, but he's actually shifted his focus onto like Foley work with like movies and stuff.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, it's really cool. And he's got actually like a really cool studio in his basement that he's been living. He's been living in this place, and somebody else was owning this studio in the basement, and then they ended up leaving just as he was like getting rid of Schoolhouse, and he took on the studio in the basement. So a lot of moving parts, but yes, Schoolhouse is still operating by our friends Davis and Andy. I just don't know if they go under that name anymore, and I'm pretty sure they probably look at themselves going like, what do we call this place? Because like they don't want to like besmirch like it.
No, I mean Davis will hate me, but it's like probably call it like Studios or something. Like, do you have any recordings? I love you, Dave. I'm sorry.
That's funny.
So did you guys mix and master this yourselves? Who did that?
I did.
You mixed and mastered
so,
this?
Yeah.
This sounds really good, dude. Holy shit, that's crazy. It sounds great.
comparison is the thief of joy. So thank you. I appreciate that. So every time I listen to something that I love and I listen to ours, I go like, like the bass could be like beefier or like, something, but it was, again, I was driving myself insane doing this entire thing. So the original thing was that we recorded the instrumentals with Davis at Schoolhouse under the pretense that I would bring it back home and do the vocals myself. Because historically, like, other than Three Swords, everything has been, in-house kind of a thing. And I'm in an apartment that's like the top floor of a house, and we've had a couple, a couple tenants since that, there was a baby. There's been like tenant disputes with the other tenant that lives in the basement. And I've always just kind of tried to be courteous and not be yelly, screamy guy up in my apartment. I'm sorry, my throat's acted up.
You're good.
I just try not to cough into the mic, right? But so a lot of it was just that, like it's like, how can I be creative and yell and do stuff or sing? And then I get self-conscious and say, what if they hear me downstairs? And so a part of it was that. A part of it was like I wasn't happy with a lot of the lyrics that were coming out of it. And some of the guitar parts, like, I wanted to be... There's a lot of guitar on this record. Like, there's probably like 4 people's worth of layering and different parts going over top of it. And I made it intentionally so that it was more just layers. Like, I mean, like, apparently, I don't know if this is fact or not, but like I remember hearing something about Nickelback recording where they would like play riffs like one string at a time, so that when it was recorded, it just was this layer of sound because you're getting different harmonics from playing one string as opposed to a power chord. So yeah, I mean, just little tricks I've learned over the years. A lot of it's from just being an idiot and figuring it out on my own. Some of it was from Davis. Some of it's from, talking to Sam, Gowena, like out in LA, like, not that we recorded with him, but hearing some tricks from him and also from like the Hearts guys over the years from recording with him. So yeah, there's kind of a little from column A, a little from column B. Quote The Simpsons.
How many, I gotta ask you, because I'm a vocalist and I totally know how some of these things go. How many takes did you have to do that big, like, you and fucking Bleed Me Out, like the big fucking Alice in Chains kind of like, yeah.
Oh, the end, man, like 2 million, too many to count.
So yeah.
Yeah. Some of those takes were actually just pulled from the original because I was just done with trying to do some stuff. I was like, screw it. I don't know how I did that harmony. This harmony is, pulled it from the original
it's
take.
Great. It's one of my favorite deliveries you do on the record. It's just like you just go for it.
Because it's unexpected. I get it. Yeah. Because I'm always a mid-range guy, and then going into like Cornell, Lane Staley territory. It's like,
it's sick. It's fucking sick.
Yeah. So it felt like leading up to this, it looked like there was very much a choice not to do any promo or drop any more singles other than All Good. Am I right? Yeah, great song.
All Good.
Yeah, I love that song. But was there any sort of like what was your thought process behind not dragging out the release a little longer with some singles or doing some promo? Do you have any plans to do some like TikToks? Are we gonna get like we wrote the grunge track of the summer, and it's you, Dan? Yeah, and it's you pointing at your track. Exactly. Do you have any, like, what was the thought process behind doing no promo, and do you have any ideas for some sort of like a full-fledged music video going forward, anything like that?
I've been in talks with Jake, like from Chubb.
Shout out Jake, we love Jake.
Yeah. Shout out Jake.
Also in the Halloween special.
I talked to him a while ago.
Oh, yeah.
Central character of the Halloween special.
Like we had this whole like grandiose meeting about, and this was like this was me hearing about like the inception of Chubb Fest before it was a thing. So hipster shout out to myself, I guess. But yeah, like we had talked about like all these like different ideas for music videos, and I just like my ADHD rattled brain like always just keeps forgetting to talk. So Jake, if you're seeing this now and I haven't messaged you, I'd love to get back into talking about doing a video. Or the entire. We were supposed to do the
This
entire
is the
EP,
Instagram clip.
Our album. Yeah.
Yeah, this is a good clip actually.
So, the no promo thing, I just still can't wrap my head around single slow burn releases. And I know that's really dinosaur thought of me to think, I guess, but like I want it to be like singles are one thing, but doing the entire thing like just slow burn and then copy and pasting the song information on whatever distributor that you're using, taking that information, putting it on, and like just building it up to make it look like it's like a full thing that everyone, and it keeps people engaged. I get it. I'm not against it in that sense. It's just, I don't know. I just think it's like, it's done. It's put it out. All Good was the single that was out last year. We re-record. I had to re-record bass for the whole thing anyway, and rewrite some stuff. So I was like, just, it's out. A lot of it was, this took way too fucking long. It's out. You know what I mean? Like, I don't want to bleed it out anymore or longer than it had to be, because we've written, like I said, there's probably about like 3 or 4 more songs that are like almost in the pipe. Not ready to go. Like the songs are done, just get them recorded and maybe do it that route the next time around. Because I mean, the results aren't there. Let's be real. I get it. It's lazy to just here's everything.
I don't think it's lazy. I like albums. Like I'm an album person. I like even just from like a Spotify standpoint, I hate like having to do something every 2 to 3 minutes when I could just be listening to something. So I like albums, but I was just curious about it because it's one of those things where if you don't, I feel like there's really good songs on there. And I think about this with a lot of music that comes out now where there's really good songs where people like, sometimes it's easier to just give people 2 to 3 minutes to chew on for a minute, like once a month. And instead of the idea of someone who could really like a song in the middle of an album, just not having the patience, because now the problem too is that because songs get drip fed out like this, I think people don't listen to the same artist as long in a row as they used to. My guess, assuming you're trying to appeal to teenagers, but
looking at like how the tracks have gone, like we still have the live tracking on Spotify for artists. Like you can tell that it dips off after All Good, and I think that's probably my fault for putting it in the middle because people have already heard that one. And then Sour and Bleed Me Out. Bleed Me Out. It's like that's a re-recorded, completely different than the original. That's the one that has the least, and I was expecting that. I mean, we debated even putting it on, but I was like, well, no, this is the band's version, not the Chris in his basement during COVID version of the song. So I wanted it to be like a more complete. That's why we called it Bleed Me Out Redo. Like, but yeah, like. It's a dichotomy. I feel like if you think of like the 80s, because I have this conversation with my dad every now and then where it's like the 80s was very single based and it was very like, here's a single, here's whatever, like, and that probably ruined a lot of bands' careers for being known as like the one band that had like this one hot single and then like 2 months later the next song comes out and they're like, well, I don't fucking care about that other Echo and the Bunnymen song. Like I like, Killing Moon. Like that's the one that I like. Right. And then that's where you get a lot of, and the 80s were notorious for being the one hit wonder decade for the most part.
Especially it also comes from an era. It also comes from an era where you were using your single to literally sell someone a record at that point. Like there's a lot of older records I find that have like, it was just like expected that there would be some like bloat songs on there that don't need to be on there for any reason at all.
Yeah. I mean, I guess that is kind of like the model of how it would be now. So it's like your single, if it blows up, is like basically your pitch to a label, It's, I don't understand the industry anymore. And I'm still doing it for the love of the game. So it's not like I'm tired, I'm done or whatever, but the whole thought process of like submitting anything to a label or going on tour at this point. I'm kind of just like, man, I'm happy to put out music and play shows still and do stuff, but like, I don't know. It's just weird. It's just, everything feels gross. It's just the world's gross, guys. Yeah.
So looking back on the writing process, then, just with a little bit of hindsight, do you think there's any tracks on this record that could have been elevated or just all around be a better song if it had a guest feature from Phil Paxton?
All of them.
Okay.
I'm always gonna, like, in this moment in time, truth be told, like, I fucking hate the record, but that's just because I hate everything that I put out. Like, it takes a lot out of me to, tell people about my band and be like, hey, listen, check this out. And then if they listen to it while I'm in the room with them, I immediately just like self-panic and be like, oh, this is awful. This is the worst thing ever. I don't want you to listen to this. Stop it right now. What are you doing? So, of course, I want everything to be like the biggest and best. But with that also being said, some of the songs that on Zodiac that I wasn't maybe necessarily the biggest fan of at the time, I actually like now, So it's a tough thing to really wrap that entire question into its one thing.
Right.
But I don't disagree with you. Yes, like everything.
So
Phil, you're featuring on every song moving forward.
yeah, and you know what? That was a really articulate and well thought out answer, and we really appreciate that. I do have a follow-up question. Why aren't any of the songs with Phil? Why is he not featured?
He's not here.
He's right there. I'm looking at him.
But yeah, now. Again, circumstances, man. I've always had this, and like, watch, someone's gonna steal the idea, and then it's gonna end up happening, and they're gonna be like, "We're so cool." I always wanted to do the E-Tid. I wanted to have like an album where every song there's a part with
Phil,
a pal,
with Phil,
or just with Phil, only with Phil. Like Justin was supposed to do a part on one of these, not like it was like on paper everything had flushed out, but like we had talked about it like years ago and he was down. And I mean, like, humble brag, like at one point years ago I had been talking to like Cove from Seosin about like doing shit.
Interesting.
He might not even remember it, but like, yeah, this was like 9 years ago. So there's always that. I like the idea of having like the feature because it promotes them, it promotes your band, it promotes the other artists. It's everything's like, synchronicity in fluid motion, and everyone's getting something out of it. I don't want to be selfish about it.
You shouldn't be selfish about your record. You're not giving Phil enough of a microphone.
Phil, you want? Okay, we'll do it right now. Where's no, my guitar's too far away. Like, you could just do Wet Leather right now for it.
Yeah,
wake up your kid.
Parker. Yeah, it'll be worth it. Trust me, it'll be worth it. It'll be worth the lack of sleep tonight. Let's get into some anecdotes. I have a bunch of quick fire questions. Maybe we'll get into all of them. Maybe we will get into some of them. Some of them are music related. Some of them aren't at all. Some of them I just thought might be fun talking points. But we know a lot of anecdotes of Chris before. I mean, we heard about the van wars last time you were on here. We know that you've toured Canada with from Man and Ghost in the past. So we
East Coast.
Was it just the East Coast? You never made it to the West Coast?
Just East Coast. We never did West. No, unfortunately. You have.
I just did the West Coast for the very first time. It was so exciting. Very exciting.
So stoked.
What did you have? I know this has been a couple of years since you've actually done some touring, but can you remember the last time you got like the nicest meal that you had while you were on tour? Like, does anything stick out specifically? And was it free?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't remember if we dined and dashed or not, so I can't say for sure. So I can't say that was a thing. But it was like a Denny's in Belleville.
It was the best meal.
We opened for like Dead and Divine, and it was
the original.
I don't
Denny's
know why like,
meal?
that one.
You guys played at Denny's?
Are we calling this episode Denny's and Divine?
Denny's and Divine. There was that one, and then there was another Perkins.
Oh yeah.
All of us went to Perkins. Yeah, after an L3 show, it was like, fuck. This was like back in the days when it was like Sydney and Rose is Dead and like all those guys. Like it was me, the FMA guys, like Matt and Chris from Dead and Divine, Kyle, who would have been in Sydney still, like their drummer, and all of, like we're all just like 2 a.m. mucking like pancakes and sausages, like buffet style at Perkins. It's like that one sticks out, and the Denny's. Denny's was a good one too because the burgers were just like disgustingly gross. We might have dined and dashed, I think.
Amazing.
No problem. Yeah.
So there's a hotel just right up the street from where we live, and my family went and came and visited at the last month, and I've stayed at this hotel because we landed like when we did the road trip out here, we stayed at this hotel before we moved into the house. So I know that they offered like complimentary breakfast, and they didn't like give you like, sometimes they give you like a little paper slip that you have to like check in or whatever. I know they didn't do that. So the entire time that my family was staying at this hotel, I would just show up and meet them at the constellation breakfast, and I would just eat breakfast every day.
That's awesome.
What's the biggest rock? Can you remember like the biggest rock star moment you've ever had in any sort of music career that you've done?
That wasn't like self-deprecating, like, but I didn't make an ass of myself like when I met them. Warped Tour 2008, I pissed beside Tom DeLonge at a urinal and did like a triple take. So it was like I went to like go to the bathroom, and like I just was like sort of that, and like he just kind of looked at me like kind of right. So it was, and then again, like every time that I've learned not to do this since, like when you do meet people that you admire or idolize, like I was just like, I love your band, and he's like, we're still pissing. He's like, thanks. Yeah. So
that's
definitely
cool.
that
that's
one
cool.
for sure.
That's super cool. Oh man. Yeah, that's awesome. Can you tell me about one of the it's gotta be like one of the very first shows you've ever played?
So it was the first show I ever played was a battle of bands at the old like Niagara College used to have. Do you guys remember that pub?
Yes.
Like that was like in Niagara College, like on the campus?
Off campus, not the one that was like, or on campus, but like out of the building, not in the building, in the lunch cafeteria where it is now, or I might be still there now, I don't know. But they used to have like this like pub room, and it was great. It was just a big bar, like so it was fun. But yeah, our band was called Minus the Living, and
because you're dead. Because you're dead.
I didn't even come up with it. It was former. Was he? Jamie was in Windhoek, right? DeSmit.
I have no clue.
Or Zero. I think he was in Zero. I could be totally wrong, but this is like old school Welland guy. Shout out Jamie. Yeah, we did Misfits. I got a Misfits poster there.
Nice.
We did Misfits covers, and we did Avenged Sevenfold.
Nice.
That's sick.
Cover for An Epic of Time Wasted. But yeah, that was the first and first good kit that I got to play on too. Because like when we practiced, I was playing on this like shitty like Tama. It wasn't even a Tama. It was like the Westbury kit, like just this $200 drum set that my parents bought for me that I was like learning how to play drums on. And then when we got to play at the venue, they actually had this like $3,000 Gretsch, like amazing drum set with all the bells and whistles for cymbals. And I was like, oh, I'm actually like okay at drums. Like I felt more comfortable playing.
It just sounded better.
Yeah, and we still lost. Like we lost like a jam band that was playing like Ween songs or Fish covers. Like I don't even remember.
And you were drumming in that band.
Yeah, my first band. I think like first 4 bands.
I was just gonna say because you're primarily a drummer before you're a frontman and like songwriter, right?
Yeah. Definitely don't like Foo Fighters.
I never actually, you know what? I don't think I ever made that connection now that you mentioned. Like, I know that you like you can hear the Foo Fighter inspiration in your music, but I don't think I ever took for a second that fucking Dave Grohl. I never made that connection. Fuck, that's cool.
Dude, it was a running joke for like the first 4 years of the band. And Davis didn't help much either, because he would always be like, "You're like Dave Grohl, you have to do this." I'm like, dude, like, it was just a joke. Like, and then it just. Now I don't have any hair, so we're good.
Do you have any intentions just like drumming for a band again and like doing something like that, or is like do you just use your creative is like Redcoat your vehicle for your creative outlet for like drumming, or does like have you passed the baton? Because I know that you and I have talked before about fellow drummers of Redcoat, and you typically are in the driver's seat when it comes to writing some of the drums. Have you passed that baton to Corey yet, or is it still something that you?
Yeah.
Oh, that's cool.
100%. Like with, like I said, aside from a couple, I'll come up with song ideas. Like, I mean, not to say that I'm writing everything anymore, and even previously, like with Dave, like I'd write a song, I'd tab it out, write here's the idea, and then like Davis would be like gets the idea of it, and then would add his flavoring to it, or would just play like what I wrote. And I think it got to the point where like a lot of previous members just maybe felt that they didn't have a creative outlet, which was never my intention. I always wanted it to be like everybody do something. It's just because like I had like a finished product, right? But yeah, with Corey, like he's my Taylor Hawkins, man. Like he's doing it. He's my brother. Like I could not have asked for like a better friend in a lot of situations, and he can do the job well. Like I got no complaints. It's as a drummer, you want to have a good drummer in your band. So I've had Davis. I've had Davis Maxwell from Cothra and Heavy Hearts, and Santi briefly played drums for a couple shows, and Santi in his own right is also an amazing fucking drummer.
Just songwriter too.
Yeah,
right.
And I mean, like, dude, I get it. I get why he's not in the band anymore, because he's off doing bigger and better things. Like that dude can write some great shit. Selfishly, did I want him to write him for Redcoat? Yeah, but. He's out doing 30 Cent Fair and 1 Million, and Bleach Bath I think still is there. Like it's in the ether. Last time I talked to him, he was saying about he's still writing stuff for that. So yeah, it's great to see that. I'm fucking blessed. The universe has gifted me like amazing musicians, even if some of them were complete pieces of shit. I've always had great musicians to play with, and it's been great.
Now, this is a perfect segue. Speaking of Santi, last time I saw you and Santi together, it was at the church when we did the whole Devil's Night thing, and Steve ended up backing into your van. Do you still have that van?
Yeah, Silver Surfer is still
the
riding,
Silver
man.
Surfer. Do you rent it out at all? Because like really, because you should probably consider that.
I don't want to be charged for manslaughter for giving anybody that. Like,
we were almost in a pickle last month. The only reason I ask is because we were in a pickle last month looking for a van.
Last month? No, I know Matt had reached out.
Oh, really?
This is probably going back like a year ago. He asked me. And I said, dude, like it needs an oil change. Like there's a crack in the windshield. The tire, like
he'll fucking drive it.
It's serving its duties for what it's doing right now. I mean, think when we end up inevitably like getting back into playing again, it's probably on its last legs at this point, which sucks because like I've had that thing. That's like the longest vehicle that I've had, let alone like band van. That's running on like 8 years.
Damn.
Now. So yeah,
yeah, that's nuts. So actually, I guess so you guys don't have any shows planned right now.
To all the promoters that keep messaging me, I want to. I really do.
Yeah.
We're still in this like weird limbo phase. We potentially have a spot to rehearse. But I always, again, in my own brain. I always feel like I'm imposing on people when it comes to going in and finalizing stuff, and you know, those people are also like busy in their own right too, and I don't want to bug them. So yeah, like we could play tomorrow, dude, if we really wanted to. Just me and Corey, no bass player. That would be disingenuous, and I think just because, again, I'm in a weird spot. Like for the first time ever in my musical career, I don't have like a place to like create art outside of, you know, like these four walls that I'm currently in. You know, whether it be like another guitarist's basement that I started out in, or the old Welland space, which you'd been to, right? Like the old, like where Wildside used to practice and stuff.
Vulture Culture was recorded
that was like
over there.
Oh, really? Did
Yeah,
not know
Davis
that.
did that.
Yeah, like that was like the spawn of like, so that was the spawn of a lot of shit that happened. You know, for the Niagara scene, but that was like Short Lives started there. Redcoat started there, basically. Like Dave and I were jamming out stuff at that old space. And yeah, like by proxy getting into the Virgil space, like the old school. And yeah, for the last 2 years, just by my own stupidity, leaving and now not having anywhere to be. And also just rent's expensive. If shit wasn't like $1,500 a month to rent a room,
no,
we'd have a spot and everything would be fine. We did get asked to do something in September. I tentatively have been, but again, it's under the pretense that we have somewhere and have them, you know, a third guy or gal or person.
Person. Nice.
It's crazy because like Hellbent operates in such a friggin' disoriented manner. It's like every member of Hellbent lives in a different province.
Yeah, I fucking wish I could do that, man.
It's wacky.
It
doesn't work.
Organized chaos.
Well, I mean,
right?
like the last we played. We played like a handful of shows just recently. But when we did this East Coast run, we tried doing like a song that we demoed out before, and like we.
And never jamming it, or just like playing it on the. Jesus Christ!
It was terrible. It went terribly. It was so bad.
Anxiety.
It was terrible. It was the worst freaking. It's.
Yeah, but it's punk rock, man. Like you guys have
nobody
that
cared.
like freedom to. No, well, you know, that's the other thing too. Like when you play, like we, the last couple shows that we did, like we played, like Super Vana with completely different. Like lyrics and vocals and like, you know, even like the last local show that we did, like at Warehouse, like we opened with Super Vana. We played, I'm trying to remember. We definitely did like, because we were supposed to be doing new songs. So even though I'm like, I don't mind playing old shit, it's not a big deal to me because like if people know us and they like the songs, and you should do like a mixed bag of everything. But anyway, yeah, like people didn't know if we're playing a new song or not, right?
It's
like,
true.
It's like, just do it. Like test it out, see if it works, and if people like it, then work off that.
Now, I don't think I ever got to talk to you about this. Maybe we did, but now we can get it right on the record. As someone who is Niagara born, I mean, you're Welland folk. It's still the area. Tell me, how do you...
Watch your tone.
You tell me, how do you feel about Born and Raised Fest? Were you there?
I went. I went this year.
I went too.
Did you? I think I only saw like maybe 10 people that I knew.
It's because there were like 10,000 people. Like apparently everyone was there, and I didn't recognize anyone. I saw your sister, Phil. I ran into Becca.
What? I didn't know she went.
Yeah. Becca was at Born and Raised, and she told me that she told me about an idea you had to just interview her, and I think that's actually such a good idea. Sorry to hijack this, Chris.
Yeah.
You should interview Becca. Just you and Becca sit down. You should do a couple reacts with her too. I think it'd be funny as hell.
That'd be
I even thought about like even just doing a podcast with her because she says some of the fucking wildest shit when you're
I
just
know
with her.
she's such a wacky, endearing
she'll
person.
just-
Shout out Becca.
yeah,
We
shout-
love Becca.
So
out
like yeah,
Becca.
you were there. You obviously, I'm not in Ontario right now, so I can talk all the shit that I want about this Born and Raised Fest. But if you guys are a fan of it, I think it's
I never said that.
I think it's bullshit. I think it's fucking bullshit. I think
My back is suffering still
Yeah.
from standing in one spot for what was it, 10 hours?
oh yeah, because it was like a whole fucking day thing, right? And there was only one day.
Well,
2 days.
It was 2
yeah,
days.
2 days. 2 days. I went the second day.
Yeah, same.
So
I went Saturday.
yeah, I went with the girl that I'm seeing now, and we were like basically there like exclusively to see the used, which is
Right.
pretty much the only reason I would have went anyway. Like
Let's-
even if I,
Let's talk about that then. How did you feel about the used performance?
Okay, so I'm privileged enough to say that I saw them when Bert was Bert.
Yeah, I saw them I saw them in Mississauga like when their second record was out, like in Love and Death or whatever.
That's a weird pull. Mississauga.
Yeah, they
And,
played.
yeah.
Taste of Chaos was in an airport
Oh, okay,
hangar.
yeah.
It was crazy. They
Was that
cleared
the
out
one
an
that had the
airport
black
hangar
open?
for it. I don't remember. I just remember like the Used, and then like and just a bunch of like metalcore bands I would have liked at the time. I was
Seosin played that. I know
As I
that.
Lay Dying, I think didn't age well, but I was really happy to see them.
My Chem, Seosin,
I don't think I saw Mike. It depends on what year it was.
Taste of Chaos. Oh, true, yeah, because
But I know I saw the Used in an airport hangar in Mississauga.
Yeah.
Anyways, how? Yeah. So how?
Yeah, so I mean,
let's get into it.
I saw them open for Blink-182 before Tom went crazy the first time.
Okay.
And Taking Back Sunday. So this is like
That's
that
a good
weird,
show.
like, yeah, 2004. It was like the Where You Want to Be.
That's
right.
a good record.
Yeah, low key, my favorite record.
Same. No, it's my favorite
record.
one by them too. It's really good.
Like, I'm always going to be a John Nolan stan, but like it's a great album.
It's a masterpiece. Album.
And then yeah, like right before In Love and Death came out, or like probably just as it was coming out, and then that was the self-titled Blink tour. So I saw that, and Bert threw up on stage and was saying some horrendous shit, and just being a madman, and like what everyone like kind of like when we first saw them growing up, like it's like wow, like it kind of made you kind of fall in love with that genre, and by proxy that made me get into bands like Finch and Story of the Year and Seosin, and so The Used is one of those kind of pioneering bands.
Same for me.
Yeah and so then cut to 5 years ago, we played Canadian Music Week, and The Used was also part of that, and they played at the Phoenix. I mean, RIP the Phoenix, but and I remember thinking then, I had heard that he stopped screaming, but to actually like see it, he was still good. Like, it's not like it was bad. It just kind of seemed...
It's a lot of the songs, they lacks... It's so important. Like, to hear a song like I'm a Fake without the screaming just feels flat and boring, in my opinion. It was kind of
weird,
mid.
like,
It was kind of mid.
Events. So he dated Ozzy Osbourne's daughter, right?
Really?
Okay, right. Like, famously,
Yeah.
He was on their show and shit.
I kind of got, like, this is, like, our Ozzy vibes. Like, Bert's done so much shit in his life that it's just kind of like this.
Just be happy that he's able to stand.
Like, he's just there. Like, the best moment of the show was when Buddy from Counterparts came out
to do Box, yeah.
That was awesome.
I know. And I know the way Brennan was talking about it, I'm assuming, like The Used for him was like a band for like you and me too, where it was like pivotal. So to like actually go on stage and sing beside Bert is crazy.
It'd be like if Anthony Green was like, "Hey, do you want to come up on stage and sing 7 years with me?" It's like, no, of course I fucking would. You know what I mean? Like, yes, I get
and they
it.
played a lot of old stuff. Like they did what they should have done, but like,
and the new record is good. Like it's got the kind of, I'll say in the sense of like, it's got that modern cringe that it's hard for us to not, whether it be production or lack of screaming or whatever it may be. There's always going to be, like, I watched your guys' Day to Remember reaction vid. And I mean, like, dude, warranted, 100%. Like, it's harder.
Song.
It's harder to write shit, especially when you're on that platform. Like, I feel like for us, like, I could put out Redcoat could be a pop band next month and no one would fucking notice. Like, you could change it up and always kind of play your cards differently. Like, when you're established and you're doing that shit, I think it really comes down to Bert's energy wasn't there. Joey, like, their new guitarist was phenomenal. The drummer that they've had for the last 4 records is great, and it's still the original bass player. So
and the bass's screams sounded good. He just wasn't. He wasn't there to fill in every moment that otherwise should have been there. It wasn't just the screaming either. Bert just seemed very like low energy.
Tired.
Yeah, not really into it. They played a lot of Nostalgia Bait, but Alexis' performance was actually crazy. It was really
they were great. The fact that they played. I'm so bad with song titles.
Sharks?
When they were like,
Sharks in Danger?
No, they're like when we've never played this song live.
Oh, was it
before.
Sidewalks? I think Sidewalks and She-Walks. They played for the first time live.
And I'm like, you guys have never played that live? I was like, I swear, at like Scene, and it's like, no, I guess they never did it. And that was like one of my favorite, because you know what I think it was too. I think that's the song that was like pretty much exclusively Dallas, which is probably why they never played it historically. Right. Going to what I know, I kind of cut you off, Phil, and I'm sorry, but going back to what you were asking by proxy or about to rant on, and it's the same thing that I'll rant on. There's no local bands.
That's right.
Don't call it Born and Raised Fest if you don't have like anybody.
And Counterparts is huge. It doesn't count. I do agree. I never understood why the festival,
Burlington.
the first band goes on at 6 from 2 to 5. Give local let a bunch of local bands play from the afternoon on.
Oh,
like it's really, you won't even have to pay them. They'll do it for the exposure. You should pay them, but like they'll play that show.
Oh, dude, I'll pay for a hug at this point. I don't even care. Like, it's funny. I just did an install. Cable guy, what's up? But I was doing a service call for a lady that worked the Sound of Music Festival. And she was just talking about how, like, a lot of, like, she said, Trooper were assholes. And I was like, well, yeah, that's, they've been doing it for a long time, so I get it. But you wouldn't, I feel like that's how scenes change and that's how music changes, is that the old guard gets tired and expensive and bad, and you start to, like, oh, let's get this band that we've never heard of, like, because they're cheap or they're free or whatever, and then they end up being, like, amazing. And then starts kind of going from there. That's just for, like, bigger events, like opening bands and stuff. But yeah, like, I don't know, like, it would be great. I think for the community, it is, you can't argue that it's not good for the community.
Right.
Like, I was propped up against some guy, like, on Molly wearing a dog collar.
Yeah, it was a weird environment.
It was a weird crowd.
I forgot that Alexis on Fire brings out such a mixed audience. Yeah. It's weird.
Like, anybody that went to go see Billy Talent last night, probably the same thing, right?
Exactly,
like,
yeah.
So it's you forget the lens, like, you with that all being said, we put it under this microscope of being like, we don't have any local bands playing this concert. It's like 10,000 people, probably only maybe 500 of which are from the scene or just from Niagara, came to go to that show, and everybody else that fucking loves Alexis, and and like, again, I had a good time. I mean, I don't know a lot of Counterparts songs. I know their guitarist used to practice their side project at the old space. So I mean, like, yeah, like it's great. Like, Calvin did sound engineering, who's like great guitar tech, who works at Hiwatt, and serviced my amp. If you notice, a lot of the people that were doing like the roadie shit, like, were locals, and I know some are probably not in the best of financial positions at the moment. So, like, it is helping the community in that sense. But it kind of goes back to my selfish gripe about, like, you guys left and then said you were a Toronto band and didn't take anybody with you, and you could have made St. Catharines like the next Seattle, and
Yeah.
Whatever the reaction would be to that, I mean, I'll say the same thing that I said last time I was on the podcast. Like, they're probably not even fucking watching this. But if you are, you know, I know how much St. Catharines and Niagara means to you guys. I think if you saw it from the lens of how artists locally feel, sometimes it kind of, there's that sort of like middle ground that I don't think is reached between both parties. That's all.
I think my biggest issue with it is that they wouldn't be able to pull this festival off in Toronto, which is the place that they've called home for the last, I don't know, since most of their career. And the fact that,
Beach.
you know, and like, I feel that they understand that they know where the money is at, and they go, okay, well, let's you know, we've looked at our DMs for the last 15 years. We know that the people in St. Catharines want us to play there. I'm sure that they get constantly get, like, you know, play here. Let's lean into it. Let's make a fest out of it, and let's get as much money as we can out of this. Now, and I understand that you got to do that as a band working these days. It's you obviously got to seek out a certain market, and, you know, saying that it couldn't happen in Toronto.
That's their job.
Yeah, that's their job,
right? Like, we always forget that too. Like that is their livelihood. Like, yeah. Did I just come back from Burlington getting stuck on Eastport Drive because they're doing construction? Because I've been, you know, telling old ladies how to use their Wi-Fi all day. Like, that's my job. You know, like, music at the end of the day is my hobby, and we always forget that, like, why do people sell out and shit like that? It's like, at the end of the day, they got to pay rent.
They got to feed their kid.
Yeah.
I get it. It makes me the musician in me, and I guess maybe the fanboy who's been there from the start kind of is upset. But, like, the dad in me who, you know, is just, you know, doing the grown-up shit, just acquired a home and it's got to work, you know, providing for my family, totally understands why you would, like, be like, okay, let's obviously hyper tailor this. The reason that you, like, so I wasn't there. It's obvious that I wasn't there, but it doesn't surprise me.
You're there in
that
spirit.
The Used went nostalgia bait, because that is the crowd. They obviously know. You know, Alexis sat down and said, like, this is our hometown. These guys have been with us, like, before, like, during the demos before the first record. So, like, these guys are like old school fans. So, like, these guys are also going to be old school fans of you. It's adjacent, right? You guys, if you listened to Alexa on Fire when you were back then, you'd be insane if you didn't listen to the Used. It's weird because they kind of go hand in hand, but they don't sound anything alike, and they had two different separate careers. But it's unique that they made it happen together. But
100%.
I guess I started this whole rant off mad, and then I kind of talked myself out of it.
The sort of optimistic way that I looked at it when I first saw the lineup when it got posted like months ago was like, oh, they're like bringing the Used to Montebello Park.
Cool.
Like, this is like this isn't
it
like,
was like their only Canadian date.
I'm not going to go sit
other than Montreal.
Yeah, I'm not going to go sit in the fucking Rogers Center to watch the Used. I will go to Montebello Park. Like, that's
the amount of Warped Tour comparisons that were given during the day from the bands too. I mean, well, from counterparts in the Used. I mean, first time seeing Ecstasy, and they were great. Like, it was, I mean, Chastity played last year, so I mean, you kind of got your Chastity-esque type band that's also on Dine Alone. I mean, I listened to the Smiths too, but they were good. I don't know. But again, yeah, it's like a band that nobody had heard of that opened, that were a Dine Alone band. And that's the shade. That's, again, as I get older and as shit continuously seems to just go through, it's like I'm getting tired of just being angry. Like, there's no point. Like, all it does is creates dumb shit and drama and clickbait, linky things and whatever. And it's good to just be supportive. I wish I had the time to go to all the shows that have been going on. I'm pumped for, like, Shingen and, you know, like, Over It just put out new music, and Windog put out new music. And, like, everything that everyone's been doing. Tyler's playing shows again, like, Dupuis playing shows again with Hellish Rebuke. And, like, I'm just happy that there is a scene. Because there was that, like, for all three of us, like, that 10-year time period where it just felt weird. Like, it wasn't what it was, and it's not what it is now. It's just kind of this, like, it went through these little, like, pockets and phases, whether it be Timmer or Matt promoting or Pat promoting. And a lot of that void was kind of, like, left by Joel and Alexis, and, you know, For Man and Ghost was kind of like meant to pick up the pieces, but we didn't, and it's yeah. I don't know, man. Shit's weird. I'm just happy everyone's doing stuff. That's all.
Hell yeah.
You know what? I think that's a great way for us to wrap this up. That was I love that there's so much positivity still around in the scene. That's something I wanted to make sure, as I left in such an important area that I grew up in, that I really wanted to keep sure that like things were still happening. It's like, Hellbent has a lot of stupid songs, but the one song that we have, End Scene, is just, that's what it's about. It's just like, don't leave it the way that you left it. Like, just go in there, make some shows, put a show together. Even if you don't know if you know how to promote a show, go ask a venue owner, find your own space, turn your house into a house venue. Start a band, start a friggin' band. If you're a fan of hardcore and just metalcore or emo,
Punch a cop.
Punch a cop, and fucking amen, bro.
Shout out Ryan Sexton's.
Oh my god.
Watch porn. Legal porn.
Watch illegal porn. Watch porn legally.
Yeah, legally, please.
legally.
I don't think we can.
buy
I
it.
don't know
Don't
if we
buy
can be. I don't think we can say that word.
Do whatever you want.
We're gonna have to Shakira some stuff.
Yeah, no, this is a great way to wrap up. This was a great conversation, Chris. I'm glad that we got to catch up.
It's really good.
Man, I love talking to you guys. I mean, it's first time talking with Tyler, so like on the podcast.
Yeah, we've spoken.
But like actually doing this format with you guys, with Phil,
Yeah, it's fun. I was excited for this one.
All that, like, yeah, it's always a blast, and even like anytime you guys ever want me on, I'm always happy to be here.
Hell yeah. So all the folks and people listening, definitely go check out Redcoat's brand new record, Lush. Lush. I was almost called it Lust. Check out Lush. Lust about the record. No, I kind of made that work. Definitely go check out Redcoat's brand new record, Lush. We're super into it. We're super stoked. Do you have any physical copies out yet, or is this just a digital stream?
No, I have been for years figuring out how to make like tapes.
Wormwood Records, if you're watching, help out Redcoat.
How about Redcoat?
Talk to Wormwood. We'll try to send a DM on your behalf or something. I don't think we've ever talked to them before, but yeah, Wormwood Records. They do like vinyls and tapes and stuff for bands around here. Yeah, I think they're out of Toronto.
Okay.
Yeah, no, they might be a good person for you to talk to. I'll send you their info. Their Instagram. They're very exclusive Instagram that only we know about. That's music professionals.
And quite lovely meeting.
He's not going to work with you if he sees you doing it. You gotta just.
What if I sound prestigious? Yes.
Is there anything you want to leave? Is there anything?
For fuck's sake.
Is there anything you want to leave with the audience?
Even if we're not a band tomorrow, not to say that's the case. I just like
sounded
this
ominous.
has been. No, just like this whole ride's been like it's been a roller coaster, man. And everyone that's randomly talked to me at a store saying like Chris from Redcoat, like those ones are like surprising because I don't expect that stuff at all. No, like listen to the record and thank you for all the support from everyone. Shout out to the old school, shout out to the new school, like Logan and everyone that's at Mount Vile, like that's been putting on shows, the hardcore scene that's been revamping itself, and Katie and Warehouse and Eric, like it's doing really good in ways that maybe in that one moment, again, Sonder, just the realization that everyone's got their own journey and their own life and their own story to tell. And for as sad and depressing that Redcoat's kind of always been over the years lyrically, and I know this record's so much different, there's always still that element of like hope and positivity, and just sort of like the resolute of if there wasn't, there wouldn't be a down if there wasn't an up. As above, so below, right?
Above, so below.
Yeah, so just everyone just be excellent to each other. Listen to Redcoat, check out Lush. My favorites are Little Death and Sour and Lush and Supervana and Bleed Me Out. I mean, they're all my favorites. So
And follow.
They're all good.
Yeah.
they're all, and all
Follow-
good.
See.
And don't forget to follow Redcoat on all the platforms. You're just at Redcoat.
No. I've been trying to message at Redcoat on Instagram for a while now, and they don't respond to messages.
So like a
Redcoat
British
90
militia.
No, it's like some 15-year-old person, like
shit.
in Oklahoma or something. I don't know. I'm like,
You're gonna have to pay up.
they don't pass. Yeah, they don't post anything. It's like, you don't use this account if this is your Finsta or your whatever. And also, Redcoat from Iowa. You guys check to see if a band name exists before you start a fucking band. The only ones that got going on for us. Oh, and I got a Charlie horse. Ah.
Oh my god,
Ow!
there's a lot going on.
Yeah.
You know, that got me all amped up.
Yeah, I know.
But, you know, it's fucking, we're not original. Like, I got the name because my parents are both from the UK, and I just thought it was funny. Redcoat 905 on Instagram. Redcoat music _ on X. We don't even do anything with it anymore. Redcoat 905 on Threads. At Chris McKirdy on Instagram. At _ Corey Sheehan on Instagram. We did put out the video for Lush, which was very kind of a last minute sort of thing that I did, and it was kind of fun to do that. Stuff. If I were to take medication, we'd be the biggest band in the world. So
There you have it, kids. Take your medication.
Take your meds.
be excellent to
Be
each other.
excellent to each other. All right, we'll leave it there. Take it easy, folks.